Hi friends! Today I thought it would be really fun to talk about all the little things that instantly make me want to pick up a book. This is probably going to expose me a little bit as a romance reader because apparently I'm extremely predictable. Like there are certain tropes, dynamics, settings, even tiny little moments in romances where the second they're mentioned, my brain immediately goes, yep, I need that immediately. I think for me the biggest thing is always the relationship dynamic first. Yes, I love a good trope, and I absolutely love a cozy setting, but if the dynamic between the characters is good, that's what really sells me on the romance. I need chemistry, but I also need a sense of tension where they're not fully in sync yet, but you know they're going to be. Especially when there's softness layered into something more intense. Like the grumpy man who's secretly only soft for her. That works for me every time. And I don't mean just grumpy in a rude way, I mean the kind of man who's closed off to everyone else, but somehow melts around her without even realizing it. It's that emotional contrast that really gets me. Someone who seems distant or guarded to the world, but completely shifts when it comes to her. That's the kind of dynamic that hooks me instantly. I've also realized this is probably why I still really love Grumpy Sunshine as a trope, but in a very specific way. I used to think I liked it equally, no matter who the grumpy one was, but I've noticed I connect much more when it's the male main character who starts off closed off or intimidating. There's just something about that shift where he seems distant at first, but over time you realize he's completely gone for her. And that really strengthens that dynamic for me. A big part of what I love in romance is that type of hero who's just competent in a really quiet, steady way. He's protective without being overbearing. He's observant. He notices little things, and he just naturally takes care of the people he cares about. It's the kind of care that shows up in actions rather than words. Opening doors without thinking about it. Carrying her bags even when she says she's fine. Walking on the outside of the sidewalk without making it a performance. Noticing when she's tired before she even says anything. And those small moments like a hand on the small of her back when they're walking somewhere, just guiding her in a way that feels natural and grounded. I think part of why I love reading that so much is because it reflects the kind of relationship dynamic I really find comforting. And honestly, the kind of thing I'd want in a relationship too. Someone who shows consistency in the small things, not just big dramatic gestures. Someone who cares in a steady, thoughtful way that doesn't feel performative, but just natural. That kind of quiet, intentional care is what really makes me invested in a character and the relationship. Forced proximity is another instant read for me. One bed, snowed in together, stuck in a cabin, road trips. Anything where the characters are forced to be around each other in a way that feels slightly inconvenient at first, but slowly turns into comfort. I love when they start off saying things like, "This is annoying," and suddenly they're sharing routines without even meaning to. That's also why I love those really small domestic moments in romance. I love the big romantic moments, obviously, but the scenes I remember most are usually the tiny ones. Doing dishes together, grocery shopping, putting groceries away while talking about random things, late night kitchen conversations where nothing important is happening but everything feels important, or one character taking care of the other when they're sick. Those moments make relationships feel real in a way nothing else does, because they're not about big declarations, they're just about existing together in a natural way. Found family dinners do the same thing. If there's a scene where everybody's gathered around the table, teasing each other and laughing, and it feels warm and chaotic in the best way, I'm immediately invested. And especially when the love interest is kind of on the outside at first, but slowly becomes part of it without even realizing. There's something really special about watching someone slowly get absorbed into that kind of comfort and belonging. Those are the kind of scenes that stick with me after I finish a book. Cozy settings get me just as fast. Small towns where everyone knows each other. Cowboys, ranches, cabins in the middle of nowhere. Road trips where they're stuck together for days. I love when the setting feels like its own character in the story. Like you can picture the town, the cafe, the grocery store, all of it. It makes everything feel more immersive. Like you're stepping into a world that already exists and has its own rhythm. If it feels lived in and cozy, I'm already more interested. Seasonal romances get me every time too. What's funny is I don't even always want to read the season I'm actually in. In summer, I'll suddenly want a cozy fall romance for no reason. Or in winter, I want something set in a warm small town with sun and festivals. My reading needs definitely operate independently from reality. There are also tropes I didn't even realize I started liking until I'd already read a bunch of them, like accidental pregnancy. For years, I thought I didn't enjoy the trope at all, and now I keep reading them and actually really enjoying them. What I find interesting is how some of these preferences just slowly evolve over time without you really noticing it's happening. Things you once would have immediately said, nope, not for me, can slowly become favorites just because of how your reading taste shifts. Like boss employee romances, for example. I used to avoid them completely because I always had this initial hesitation. But now, I actually really enjoy reading them when they're well done. And the same thing happened with shifter stories, Omegaverse, and fated mates. These are all tropes I genuinely thought I would never get into at all. And now they're honestly some of my absolute favorites. It's kind of funny how the reading rules you think you have for yourself don't always say the same. I also judge books by covers more than I probably should. I try not to, but I absolutely do. I'm really specific about romance covers too. I love minimalist covers, but I also love bright, colorful covers with detailed artwork. What throws me off is when it feels too cartoonish or even kind of clip art styled. Something about it just makes it harder for me to get into the book before I've even started it, which is why I look for different versions, and then usually I can find a cover that works for me. Then there are the auto-buy authors for me. The second I see names like Kat Singleton, Lana Ferguson, Tessa Dare, or Lindsay Sands attached to something, I'm immediately interested. Especially the Highland Bride series. Those are full comfort rereads for me at this point. There are just some authors where I already know what kind of reading experience I'm going to get, and that's enough to make me pick it up without hesitation. This is probably why I love romance so much in general. Everybody has these really oddly specific things that instantly pull them into a story. All it takes is small town, grumpy man, forced proximity, and one domestic scene, and suddenly I'm emotionally invested. So now I'm really curious what your version of this is. Because I feel like every reader has at least one oddly specific thing that immediately convinces them to pick up a book. Thanks for watching, and remember, stay cozy and keep reading.